Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving right into the Srimad Bhagwatam, specifically Canto 5, Chapter 21, texts 14 to 19. We are going to completely unpack the awe-inspiring, text-wise details of the celestial chariot. If you've ever just glanced up at the sun and thought of it as a giant ball of burning gas, well, get ready to have your perspective totally shifted. We're going to connect the dots to reveal a framework where celestial mechanics, the passage of time, and these incredibly profound spiritual rituals are all completely intertwined.
To do this, we'll follow a macro to micro to macro arc across 6 parts. One universe, one sun, mechanics of the chariot, the wheel of time, the celestial entourage, orchestrating the weather, and finally, cosmic speed and scale.
So, starting with part 1, one universe, one sun.
Let's jump right into the foundational concept from the introductory purport, because, before we can even look at the chariot itself, we really have to understand the track it runs on, right? And the sky it illuminates. The text explicitly rejects the Western theory of multiple suns scattered throughout our night sky. Now, this is a massive divergence in cosmological models. The Srimad Bhagwatam explains that while universes are absolutely clustered together in these massive quantities, each individual universe is entirely enclosed by distinct, dense layers of material elements. And because of these incredibly thick coverings, our vision is completely contained. It totally obscures our view of literally anything outside our own specific universe. So every luminary, every single star you see at night, they're all part of our single self-contained system.
This quote powerfully distills that whole cosmic hierarchy. It says, "In each universe there is one Lord Brahma, and there are other demigods on other planets, but there is only one sun." That reminds us that no matter how many other planets exist, or how many other powerful demigods are out there administering the cosmos, the sun is entirely singular in its role here. There is only one sun. It's the sole, undisputed king of illumination for our specific cosmic bubble. And understanding this singularity is absolutely crucial, because it elevates the sun god's journey from just a standard planetary orbit to the literal heartbeat of the entire universe.
All right, moving on to part 2, mechanics of the chariot.
Now, deconstructing the actual text-wise details of the machinery carrying this single sun, text 12 introduces the chariot itself as Trayimaya. Now, definitely don't let that term slip by. This deeply ties the physical vehicle to the spiritual resonance of specific Vedic chants, specifically the Gayatri mantra elements, Om Bhurbhuva Swaha. So the chariot isn't just a physical construct of celestial wood and metal, right? Its very essence, its actual driving force, is interwoven with sacred sound vibration. The mechanical and the spiritual aren't separate things here. They are entirely one entity.
And let's look at how this Trayimaya chariot is actually situated. The text grounds this cosmic structure in just a brilliant mechanical metaphor. Imagine an axle of truly unimaginable proportions. One end of this axle rests solidly on the central summit of Mount Sumeru. Then the outer end reaches all the way across the cosmos to rest on Manasotara mountain. Pinned between these two massive geographical points, it rotates continuously. The Srimad Bhagwatam uses the analogy of a heavy oil pressing machine. If you've ever seen an ancient oil press, you know it's a massive, heavy beam being dragged in an unrelenting continuous circle, just grinding out the oil. That's the exact visualization the text gives us for the sun's unstoppable orbit.
Which brings us to part 3, the Wheel of Time.
Let's move to text 13 and see how this builds a direct bridge between those celestial mechanics and our human reality. Because this oil pressing machine isn't just grinding out distance, it's actually grinding out our lives. See, the chariot doesn't have 4 wheels like you might picture a normal chariot having. It has just one single wheel, known as samvatsara. And this word, samvatsara, translates directly to the tropical year. This single wheel fundamentally anchors our entire understanding of the calendar year. Time is literally the physical rotation of this singular celestial wheel.
So the crucial point we need to connect the dots on is this. This isn't just a chariot, it's a living, moving calendar. The text connects the physical architecture of the wheel perfectly to our actual experience of time. Think about it. The wheel has exactly 12 spokes which dictate our 12 months. The outer rim is divided into 6 sections representing the 6 seasons of the Vedic calendar, and the central hub is split into 3 sections representing the 3 Chaturmasya periods of the year. By seeing this layout, we realize that when we experience a change in season, or, flip the page on a calendar, we are directly experiencing the physical turning of the spokes and rims of the sun god's chariot. How wild is that?
Next up, part 4, the celestial entourage.
Now, a machine this grand, carrying literally the single source of light for the entire universe, obviously requires a pretty remarkable crew. Unpacking text 18, we see the sun god doesn't travel alone. Every single month, as that wheel turns to a new spoke, a totally new set of 14 associates steps up. They're divided into 7 specific groups of 2, and they actually assume different names every month to continuously perform highly detailed ritualistic ceremonies. Their entire purpose is to worship the most powerful demigod, Suryadeva, as he drives. It's basically an eternal, rolling festival in the sky.
The purport references the Vishnu Purana to beautifully detail how each specific group contributes to the chariot's journey. It's a perfectly choreographed division of labor. The Gandharvas provide celestial singing, the Apsaras dance before the chariot, the Nishatras follow behind, the Panagas are constantly decorating the vehicle, the Yakshas serve as heavily armed guards, and the Valakilya saints surround the sun god offering continuous, powerful prayers. I mean, it is just a stunning visual.
Okay, part 5, orchestrating the weather.
This brilliantly illustrates why understanding these celestial beings is so absolutely vital to our physical world down here, because they aren't just up there putting on a private show. This is where the text requires us to really connect the dots. Read this carefully. It says, the 7 groups of 14 associates arrange the proper times for regular snow, heat, and rain throughout the universe. So these aren't just celestial musicians and dancers. Their constant spiritual rituals are the direct cause of our physical snow, heat, and rain. The material weather we experience on Earth, the droughts, the monsoons, the winter freezes, is the direct byproduct of how these 14 associates are performing their devotional service to the sun god. Science calls it meteorology. The Srimad Bhagwatam reveals it as celestial choreography.
And finally, part 6, cosmic speed and scale. To wrap up our explainer today, we really need to zoom back out to texts 12 and 19 to comprehend the sheer, awe-inspiring mathematics of this whole operation. We know how the chariot is built, we know the crew, but now we need to see how fast it actually moves. To grasp the velocity we're about to look at, you have to keep in mind the yojana. This is the standard unit used to measure the staggering distances in Vedic texts. While conversions can vary slightly, a yojana is generally calculated as roughly 8 miles. Just keep that multiplier right in the back of your head.
Because text 19 tells us that the sun god's total orbit through Bhumandala covers a totally mind-bending distance of 95.1 million yojanas. When we convert that, it is an incomprehensible 760,800,000 miles. That's the size of the track this massive oil pressing machine is grinding along.
But the true jaw-dropping text-wise detail here is the speed. Remember that incredibly heavy one-wheeled chariot surrounded by dancing apsaras and singing Gandharvas? Well, text 19 explicitly states it traverses 2,000 yojanas and 2 kroshas in a single moment, which translates to 16,004 miles in just a split second. Try to even visualize that momentum for a second. Over 16,000 miles in a moment, relentlessly, flawlessly dragging the wheel of time forward without ever missing a single beat. It's unreal.
As we conclude this explainer, I want you to really reflect on this. If the turning of a massive celestial wheel directly dictates the passage of your seasons, and if a divine singing entourage is up there orchestrating the rain falling outside your window right now, how does this Vedic perspective change your relationship with the sky above? You are no longer living under just some random sequence of solar radiation and weather patterns. You're living inside a meticulously engineered, spiritually driven masterpiece. Thank you so much for joining me, and I encourage you to keep looking up.